The gleaming silver Porsche sat in our driveway like a slap in the face. 2 weeks after Dad's funeral, and there she was, Aunt Lydia, my father's sister, polishing the hood with a smug grin plastered across her face. As if she hadn't just spent what should have been my inheritance on her midlife crisis. I'm Clara, and until recently, I thought I knew what grief felt like. Turns out, watching your aunt flaunt a luxury car while your father's memory is still fresh in the ground is a whole different kind of pain. Beautiful, isn't she? Lydia called out as I walked up the driveway, her voice dripping with false cheer. Come take a look at the interior. Custom leather seats, heated steering wheel. The works. I forced a smile, the kind Dad taught me to use in uncomfortable situations. Wow, Lydia. That's quite something. Dad would have loved it, I said, my voice tight. Her grin faltered for just a second, but she recovered quickly. Oh, he would have. He always had an eye for fine things. Something inside me snapped. The casual way she threw Dad's name around, like she had any right to speak for him. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from my best friend, Mia. Still on for coffee? You sound like you need it. I have to go, I told Lydia, already backing away. Meeting Mia at the cafe. She waved me off, her attention already back on her precious car. The cafe was our usual spot, a cozy little place with mismatched chairs and the smell of freshly ground coffee beans. Mia took one look at my face and ordered me a double-shot espresso, without asking. Spill it, she said, sliding into our usual corner booth. She bought a Porsche, I said, my hands shaking slightly as I wrapped them around the warm cup. A brand new Porsche, Mia. Dad's been gone 2 weeks. How does that even add up? Mia frowned, stirring her latte. Wasn't your dad's life insurance supposed to go to you? Yeah, I said, taking a sip of coffee and wincing as it burned my tongue. Lydia said there were complications with the policy, that it would take time to sort out. But somehow, she has money for a luxury car. Have you seen any paperwork? Mia shook her head. No, she keeps everything locked up tight. You know how secretive she is. I sighed, leaning back in my chair. There's something off about this, Mia. I can feel it. Mia leaned forward, lowering her voice. Then maybe it's time we found a way to get a closer look. That evening, I came home to find my cousin, Ethan, sitting on the front steps. His eyes were red, like he'd been crying. Dad's acting weird, he said as I sat beside him. He's been making all these phone calls, speaking in whispers. I heard him mention your dad's name and something about offshore accounts. My heart started racing. When was this? Last night. He didn't know I was home. Ethan wiped his eyes. Clara, what's going on? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a text from Mia. Found something you need to see. Can you meet now? I squeezed Ethan's hand. I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. 20 minutes later, I was in Mia's car, parked a block from my house. She handed me a crumpled bank statement. Found this in the recycling bin outside your house, she said. I was doing some research for work and spotted it. My hands trembled as I read the numbers. Large transfers, all made within days of Dad's death, moving through accounts I'd never seen before. This is it, I whispered. This is how she did it. Mia touched my arm gently. What are you going to do? I folded the statement carefully and tucked it into my jacket pocket. First, I'm going to find out exactly what she's hiding in that study. Then, I took a deep breath, feeling something hard and determined settle in my chest. I'm going to take back what's mine. When I got home, Lydia was still in the driveway, admiring her new car in the fading light. She looked up as I approached, that same self-satisfied smile on her face. Changed your mind about checking out the interior? She asked. I smiled back, channeling every ounce of forced warmth I could muster. Actually, yes. You know what? I would love to see it. As she eagerly showed me every feature of her new toy, I made mental notes of every detail, every number, every date. The car was purchased exactly 12 days after Dad's death, the same day as one of those suspicious transfers. It's really something, I said, running my hand along the dashboard. Dad would be proud. Her smile flickered for just a second, so brief I almost missed it. But it was there.
Guilt. Fear.
Confirmation. That night, lying in bed, I pulled out Dad's last letter to me. "Trust your instincts, Clara," he'd written. "You're stronger than you know." I touched the words gently, feeling the indent of his pen strokes under my fingers. "I won't let her get away with this, Dad," I whispered into the darkness. "I promise." "We need to be smart about this," Mia said the next morning, spreading documents across her kitchen table. One wrong move, and Lydia could destroy everything. I nodded, studying the bank statement Mia had found. 3 days had passed since discovering it, and we'd been gathering intel ever since. The transfers all went through some company called Horizon Ventures. "Shell company," Mia said, looking up from her laptop. "I did some digging. It was registered 2 months before your dad passed away." My stomach churned. She was planning this before he even died. "Look at this," Mia pointed to her screen. "Lydia's been making regular trips to the First National Bank downtown. Every Tuesday, like clockwork." "That's her long lunch break," I said, pieces clicking into place. "She always says she's meeting clients." My phone buzzed, a text from Ethan. "Dad's in his study. Doors unlocked for once. Home alone. Now's our chance." I showed Mia the text. "I need to get in there." "I'll drive," Mia said, standing up. "Be careful, Clara." The drive home was tense. Mia kept glancing at me. "You sure about this?" "Dad always said the truth comes out eventually," I replied, gripping the door handle. "I'm just helping it along." We pulled up 2 houses down. Through the living room window, I could see Lydia's silhouette moving in her study. "Call me if anything feels off," Mia said, squeezing my hand. "I mean it, Clara." I walked casually up the driveway, phone pressed to my ear like I was on a call. The front door opened silently. Thank God for Dad's insistence on WD-40 on all the hinges. Lydia's voice drifted from the study. "Yes, I understand the risks." "No, she doesn't suspect anything." I crept closer, my heart pounding so loud I was sure she'd hear it. "The transfer needs to happen today," she continued, "before anyone starts asking questions." A floorboard creaked under my foot. Lydia's voice stopped. "I'll call you back," she said quickly. I darted into the kitchen just as her study door opened, grabbed a glass, and filled it with water. "Clara," Lydia appeared in the doorway. "When did you get home?" "Just now," I said, taking a sip. "Thirsty?" She studied me for a moment, then smiled that fake smile I'd grown to hate. "Actually, good timing. I wanted to talk to you about the insurance situation." "Oh." I leaned against the counter, trying to look casual. "It's more complicated than we thought. Might take months to sort out." I nodded. "These things happen." The moment she left for her afternoon appointment, I raced to the study. Ethan met me at the door. "You have maybe 20 minutes, he whispered. "She forgot some papers. She'll be back for them." My hands shook as I photographed everything I could find: bank statements, transfer records, emails. A folder labeled Final Arrangements caught my eye. Inside was Dad's real insurance policy, the one that named me as sole beneficiary, the one Lydia had hidden. "Clara," Ethan hissed from the doorway. Car just pulled up. I shoved everything back in place and slipped out, heart racing. I made it to my room just as the front door opened. "Forgot my briefcase," Lydia called up the stairs. That evening, I met Mia and Ethan at our favorite diner. The vinyl booth squeaked as I pulled out my phone. "Look at these," I said, showing them the photos. She forged Dad's signature, changed the beneficiary to herself. "That's fraud." Mia's eyes widened. "Serious fraud. We need to talk to someone who knows the law." Ethan frowned. "I might know someone. My friend Jake, he's a lawyer. Financial crimes." I hesitated. "Can we trust him?"
"He's solid," Ethan said.
"And he hates people like Lydia." My phone lit up with a text from Ethan. "Dad's planning something big. Overheard him booking a flight. She's running." I showed them the message.
"We need to move fast."
The next morning, we met Jake at a coffee shop. He looked exactly like what you'd expect from a lawyer: sharp suit, sharp eyes, sharp mind. "Insurance fraud is hard to prove," he said, reviewing the photos on my phone. "But this? This is different. Multiple accounts, forged documents, a clear paper trail. She's planning to leave the country. Soon, I said. Then we need to move carefully. Jake leaned forward. One wrong step, and she could disappear with everything. Mia, who'd been quiet, suddenly grabbed my arm. Clara, look. Through the coffee shop window, I saw Lydia's Porsche pull into the parking lot. Ethan was with her. Back room, Jake said quickly.
Now.
We slipped through the door, just as they entered. Through the crack, I watched Ethan's face. He looked terrified. I don't understand why we need to leave so suddenly, he was saying. What about my job? My friends? It's an opportunity, sweetheart. Lydia's voice oozed fake concern. A fresh start for both of us. And Clara? She's an adult. She can take care of herself. My phone vibrated. A text from Mia. Found the shell company's real office. You need to see this. I have to go, I whispered to Jake and Mia. Keep watching them. 20 minutes later, I met Mia outside a rundown office building downtown.
3rd floor, she said.
Suite 304. The elevator was broken, so we took the stairs. The hallway smelled like old cigarettes and broken dreams. Here, Mia pointed to a door with peeling paint. Through the frosted glass, I could make out Horizon Ventures. It's open, I said, trying the handle. Inside was a single room with a desk, a filing cabinet, and nothing else. No computer, no phone, no signs of life. Check the cabinet, Mia said, keeping watch at the door. The drawer squealed as I pulled it open. Inside, a single folder labeled Final Arrangements. Bingo, I whispered, pulling out my phone to photograph everything. Someone's coming, Mia hissed. We ducked behind the desk just as footsteps approached. The door opened. Everything needs to go, Lydia's voice. Shred it all. What about the offshore accounts? Another voice I didn't recognize. Transfer everything by tomorrow. I don't care how. My hand shook as I hit record on my phone, capturing every word. After they left, Mia and I waited 5 minutes before moving. We need to get these to Jake, I said, clutching the folder. Back at Mia's place, Ethan was waiting for us. His eyes were red. She's making me pack, he said. Says we're leaving tomorrow night.
Dubai?
Mia exchanged looks with Jake. No extradition treaty. There's more. Ethan pulled out his phone. I recorded her talking to her lawyer. The recording played, Lydia discussing how to liquidate assets, transfer funds, make it all disappear.
This is good, Jake said.
Really good. But we need the original documents. They're in her safe, Ethan said. Behind the painting in her study. I've seen her open it. I know the combination. My heart raced. When does she have a dinner meeting?
Tonight.
7 to 9. That's our window, Jake said. But we need to be careful. If she suspects anything, I'll keep her at dinner. Ethan stood up. Text me when you're done. The plan was simple. Mia would watch the restaurant. Jake would monitor the house perimeter. And I would get the documents. At 7:15, Ethan texted. She's here. Ordering drinks. I slipped into the house, my heart pounding. The study door opened silently. The painting swung away easily, revealing the safe. My fingers trembled as I input the combination Ethan had given me. October 24th, 62.
Click.
Inside were stacks of documents, USB drives, and a manila envelope marked contingency. My phone buzzed. Car just pulled up. I froze. Lydia wasn't supposed to be back for hours. Get out now, Jake texted. Back door. I grabbed everything, shoved it in my bag, and ran. Behind me, I heard the front door open. Hello's. Lydia's voice. Anyone home? I slipped out the back door just as her footsteps reached the study. In Jake's car, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Did you get everything? He asked. I opened my bag, showing him the contents. Everything. Good, he said, starting the engine. Because tomorrow Lydia Carter is going to learn exactly what justice feels like. The flight to Dubai was scheduled for 11 p.m. the next day. Jake spread the documents across his desk at his office, the morning light streaming through the windows. We'd been up all night reviewing what we'd found in Lydia's safe. The evidence was damning: forged signatures, falsified bank statements, offshore account details. Look at this, Mia said, pointing to a document. She started moving money the day after your dad went into hospice. She knew exactly what she was doing. My coffee cup cracked in my grip. She was planning this before he even died. There's something else, Ethan said quietly, holding up a USB drive we'd found.
You need to see this.
He plugged it into Jake's computer. Video files appeared, security footage from Dad's hospital room. Lydia was alone with him. Papers spread across his bed. Just sign here, Robert. Lydia's voice crackled through the speakers. It's for Clara's future. I promise. Dad's hand, weak and shaking, signed documents he couldn't possibly read. That's elder abuse, Jake said, his jaw tight. And fraud. We've got her. My phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Dad's acting weird. Packing everything. Says we're leaving tonight instead. She knows, I said, showing them the message. She must have realized the safe was opened. We need to move now. Jake stood up. Before she runs, I'll call Judge Martinez. We can get the arrest warrant fast-tracked. No, I said, an idea forming. I have a better plan. 2 hours later, I walked into our house like nothing was wrong. Lydia was in the kitchen, talking rapidly on her phone. Yes, tonight. Change the tickets to tonight. I don't care about the cost. She hung up when she saw me. Clara, I was just about to call you. Family emergency. Ethan and I need to travel to Dubai. I interrupted, watching her face pale. Funny timing. Dad told me something before he died. Want to hear it? I played the recording I'd found on the USB drive, one Lydia clearly didn't know existed. Dad's voice, weak but clear. If anything happens to me, watch Lydia. She's been asking about the insurance, about the accounts. Don't trust her, Clara. Lydia's face turned from white to red. That's not. You can't. Can't what? Tell the truth. I stepped closer. Or, did you think nobody would notice how you forced my dying father to sign away his estate? Her hand shot out, grabbing my arm. You don't understand. Let go of her. Jake's voice came from the doorway. He'd been waiting outside, just as planned. Lydia released me, backing away. This is ridiculous. I'm calling my lawyer. Go ahead, I said, nodding toward the window where Jake's unmarked car had just pulled up. I'm sure they'd love to explain the elder abuse charges. You're bluffing, Lydia said, but her voice shook. Am I? I pulled out the documents from the safe. These say otherwise. So does the security footage. So do the offshore account records. Her eyes darted to the door, calculating. Don't, Jake warned, blocking the exit. What do you want? Lydia's voice was barely a whisper. Everything, I said. Every penny you stole. Every account you opened. Every lie you told. And you're going to give it all back. Or what? Or, in about 30 seconds, Officer Jake is going to walk through that door with a warrant. Your choice. Lydia's shoulders sagged. For the first time, I saw her for what she really was, a coward. The accounts, she said. I can transfer them back. Already done. Mia's voice came from behind her. She'd slipped in through the back door. The bank's fraud department has been very helpful. Lydia sank into a chair, defeated. Outside, more police cars pulled up. One more thing, I said, pulling out Dad's letter. The real one, found in the safe. You're going to sign a confession? Jake entered, handcuffs ready. Lydia Carter, you're under arrest for fraud and elder abuse. As they let her out, Ethan appeared at the top of the stairs, his suitcase forgotten beside him. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have said something sooner. I hugged him tight. You did the right thing when it mattered. Outside, they were putting Lydia in the police car. Our neighbors watched from their windows as her precious Porsche was towed away, evidence now. Your dad would be proud, Mia said, taking my hand. I watched Lydia's car disappear around the corner, thinking of Dad's words. Trust your instincts, Clara. He was right. He always was. It's not over, Jake warned, joining us. There'll be trials, paperwork. I know, I said. But for the first time since Dad died, I can breathe again. The morning sun broke through the clouds, warming my face. Sometimes, justice feels exactly like this, like light breaking through darkness, like truth finally setting you free. But as I stood there, watching Lydia's Porsche disappear around the corner, a strange unease settled in my chest. Something about the way she had looked at me in those final moments, like she still had an ace up her sleeve. "Clara," Mia said, breaking my train of thought. "You okay?" I nodded, but my mind was racing. "Yeah, I can't shake this feeling. Like there's more to this. Something we're missing." Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" "I don't know," I admitted. "But Lydia's not the type to go down without a fight. She's too calculated, too prepared. What if she has a backup plan?" Ethan, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. "There's something I didn't tell you. Last night, when I was packing, I found a key in her desk. It didn't look like a house key or a car key. It was different. I didn't think much of it at the time, but now—" "Where is it?" I asked, my pulse quickening. "Still in my room," Ethan said. "I'll go get it." 10 minutes later, we were all gathered around the kitchen table, staring at the key Ethan had found. It was small, brass, and unmarked, no logo, no numbers. Just a simple, nondescript key. "Any idea what it's for?" Mia asked, turning it over in her hands. "No," Ethan said. "But I've never seen it before. And Lydia kept it hidden in a locked drawer." Jake leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "This could be important. If Lydia was hiding something else, something we haven't found yet, this key might be the key to it. Literally. But where do we even start?" I asked, frustration creeping into my voice. "It could be for anything: a safety deposit box, a storage unit, a P.O. box. Or something worse," Mia said quietly. "What if it's for an offshore account? Or another shell company?" The room fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. Lydia had already proven she was capable of anything. What if this was just the tip of the iceberg? "We need to figure this out," I said, my voice firm.
And fast.
"If Lydia has another way to access money or destroy evidence, we can't let her use it." Jake took the key and examined it closely. "First, we need to figure out what this opens. It's not a standard house or car key, so it's likely for something specific: a lockbox, a safe, or maybe even a storage unit." "What about the storage unit place downtown?" Mia suggested. "The one near the old train station? I remember seeing Lydia there once, a few months ago. She said she was just dropping off some old furniture. But she could have been lying," I finished. "It's worth checking out." "Let's go," Jake said, standing up. "But we need to be careful. If Lydia's people are watching, we can't tip them off." The storage facility was a sprawling complex of metal units, each one identical to the next. We parked a block away and approached on foot, trying to blend in with a few other customers milling about. "Which unit do you think it is?" Ethan whispered as we walked down the rows. "No idea," I said, clutching the key tightly. "But we'll know it when we see it." We split up, each taking a different section of the facility. The minutes dragged on as we searched, the tension growing with every passing second. And then, finally, I saw it: a small, unmarked unit at the end of a row. The lock looked old, rusted, but it matched the key in my hand. "Over here," I called softly, waving the others over. Jake took the key from me and inserted it into the lock. It turned with a satisfying click, and the door creaked open. Inside was a single filing cabinet and a stack of boxes. My heart raced as I pulled open the top drawer. It was filled with documents, bank statements, property deeds, and what looked like passports. "What the—" Mia trailed off as she picked up one of the passports. It was Lydia's photo, but the name was different. "Clara, look at this." I took the passport from her, my hands trembling. "She has aliases. Multiple identities. This isn't just about money. She was planning to disappear and take everything with her," Jake said grimly, flipping through the documents. "Look at this: property deeds in Dubai, bank accounts in the Cayman Islands. She was setting up a new life. But why keep all this here?" Ethan asked. "Why not destroy it?" "Because she's arrogant," I said, my voice cold. "She thought she was untouchable. She thought she'd never get caught." "Well, she was wrong," Mia said, pulling out her phone. "We need to document all of this. Every single piece of evidence. As we worked, a thought nagged at the back of my mind. If Lydia had gone to such lengths to protect herself, what else was she hiding? And more importantly, who else was involved? Jake, I said slowly. What if Lydia wasn't working alone? What if she had help? He looked up from the documents he was photographing. You think there's someone else? I don't know, I admitted. But this feels bigger than just her. The offshore accounts, the aliases, the properties, it's too much for one person to handle alone. Then we need to find out who's helping her, Jake said.
And fast.
If they realize we're onto them, they'll cover their tracks. We spent the next few hours documenting everything in the storage unit. By the time we were done, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the facility. My mind was racing with possibilities, but one thing was clear: this wasn't over. Not even close. As we drove back to the house, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were standing on the edge of something much bigger. Lydia's arrest was just the beginning. There were still secrets to uncover, lies to unravel, and people who needed to be held accountable. And I wasn't going to stop until I found them all. We pulled up to the house, the weight of the day pressing down on me. The storage unit had been a goldmine of evidence, but it had also opened up a Pandora's box of questions. Who was helping Lydia? How deep did this go? And most importantly, what else were we missing? As we walked inside, Ethan hesitated at the door. Clara, there's something else I need to tell you. I turned to him, my stomach tightening. What is it? He glanced at Mia and Jake, then back at me. When I was in Lydia's study earlier, I found something else. A burner phone. It was hidden in a false bottom in her desk drawer. I didn't think much of it at the time, but now, with everything we've found, where is it? I asked, my pulse quickening. Still in my room, Ethan said. I didn't want to touch it too much in case it had fingerprints or something. Good thinking, Jake said. Let's take a look. We followed Ethan upstairs to his room, where he pulled the burner phone out of his backpack. It was a cheap, disposable model, the kind you could buy at any convenience store. But when Jake powered it on, the screen lit up with a series of text messages, all from a single number. These are recent, Jake said, scrolling through the messages. The last one was sent this morning. What do they say? Mia asked, leaning over his shoulder. Jake read aloud, his voice tense. Plans changed. Move everything to the secondary location. Don't trust anyone. My heart sank. Secondary location? What does that mean? It means Lydia wasn't working alone, Jake said. And whoever she was working with is still out there. But who? Ethan asked, his voice trembling. Who would help her do something like this? I thought back to the storage unit, to the aliases and offshore accounts. Someone who stands to lose just as much as she does. Maybe more. The burner phone buzzed suddenly, startling all of us. A new message had come in. Jake held it up so we could all see. Meet me at the docks. Midnight. Bring the package. The docks? Mia repeated. What package? I don't know, Jake said. But if we want answers, this might be our only chance to get them. It's a trap, Ethan said, his voice rising. It has to be. They're going to know we have the phone. Maybe, I said. But if we don't go, we might never find out who's behind this. And if they're planning to move whatever package they're talking about, we need to stop them. Jake nodded. Clara's right.
But we need to be smart about this.
We can't just walk in blind. We spent the next few hours planning. Jake called in a few favors from his contacts at the police department, arranging for backup to be on standby near the docks. Mia and I scoured the documents from the storage unit, looking for any clue about what the package could be. And Ethan, still shaken, stayed close, his eyes darting to the windows every few minutes as if expecting someone to show up at any moment. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, my nerves were on edge. The docks were a maze of warehouses and shipping containers, the perfect place for a clandestine meeting or an ambush. We stick together, Jake said as we pulled into the parking lot near the docks. No splitting up, no heroics. We get in, we get answers, and we get out. I nodded, but my mind was racing. What if this was a mistake? What if we were walking into something we couldn't handle? The docks were eerily quiet, the only sound the lapping of water against the piers. We moved cautiously, sticking to the shadows as we made our way to the meeting point, a rundown warehouse at the end of the pier. There, Mia whispered, pointing to a figure standing near the entrance. It was a man, tall and broad-shouldered, his face obscured by a hood. He was pacing back and forth, clearly agitated. "That's not Lydia," Ethan said, his voice barely audible. "No," I agreed. "But he's waiting for someone. And I have a feeling it's not us." We watched from a distance as the man pulled out a phone and made a call. His voice carried on the night air, sharp and angry. "Where are you? I've been waiting. If this falls apart because of you—" He trailed off, his head snapping up as if he'd heard something. We froze, holding our breath, but it was too late. His eyes locked onto our hiding spot, and he started toward us. "Run," Jake said, grabbing my arm.
Now.
We bolted, the sound of footsteps echoing behind us. My heart pounded as we weaved through the maze of shipping containers, the man's voice shouting after us. "Stop. You don't know what you're messing with." We didn't stop. We couldn't. But as we rounded a corner, I realized too late that we'd run into a dead end. The man was closing in, his face twisted in anger. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice low and dangerous. "What do you want?" I stepped forward, my voice steady despite the fear coursing through me. "We want the truth."
Who are you working with?
"What's in the package?" He laughed, a cold, humorless sound. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. This is bigger than you, bigger than Lydia. Walk away now, or you'll regret it." "We're not walking away," I said, my voice firm. "Not until we get answers." His eyes narrowed, and for a moment, I thought he might lunge at us. But then, from behind him, a voice called out, "Enough." We all turned to see a woman stepping out of the shadows. She was elegant, dressed in a tailored suit, her hair pulled back in a sleek bun. But it was her eyes that caught my attention, cold, calculating, and utterly ruthless. "Clara," she said, her voice smooth as silk. "I've been expecting you." The woman stepped closer, her heels clicking against the pavement. The man who had been chasing us stepped aside, his posture shifting to one of deference. It was clear she was in charge. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice steady despite the fear clawing at my chest. "And how do you know my name?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, Clara, you've been digging in places you shouldn't. Lydia warned me you were persistent, but I didn't expect you to find us so quickly." "Warned you?" Mia said, stepping forward. "So, you are working with her. Who are you?" The woman tilted her head, studying us like we were specimens under a microscope. "My name is Victoria Cross. And as for what I do, let's just say I specialize in making problems disappear." Jake stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. "You're not going to make us disappear. Not tonight." Victoria's smile widened, but it was anything but comforting. "Oh, I don't need to make you disappear. You'll do that yourselves if you keep poking around where you don't belong." "What's in the package?" I asked, cutting straight to the point. "What are you and Lydia hiding?" Victoria's expression darkened, and for a moment, I thought she might refuse to answer. But then she sighed, as if we were nothing more than a minor inconvenience. "The package," she said, "is something far more valuable than you can imagine. And far more dangerous. You should have walked away when you had the chance." "We're not walking away," I said, my voice firm. "Not until we know the truth." Victoria's eyes narrowed, and she took a step closer. "The truth? Very well. The truth is that Lydia was just a pawn in a much larger game. A game you don't want any part of. Walk away now, and I'll forget this little misunderstanding. And if we don't?" Jake asked, his hand subtly reaching for his phone. Victoria's smile turned icy. "Then you'll learn the hard way why it's better to stay out of my business." Before anyone could react, the sound of sirens cut through the night air. Victoria's head snapped toward the noise, her composure slipping for the first time. "You called the police?" she hissed, her eyes blazing with anger. "Back up," Jake said, his voice calm but firm. You're not the only one who knows how to play this game. Victoria's jaw tightened, and she shot a sharp look at the man who had been chasing us. We're leaving.
Now.
You're not going anywhere, I said, stepping forward. But before I could stop her, Victoria pulled something from her pocket, a small, sleek device. She pressed a button, and a blinding flash of light erupted, forcing us to shield our eyes. When the light faded, Victoria and her accomplice were gone, vanished into the night like ghosts. What the hell was that? Mia exclaimed, her voice shaking. A diversion, Jake said, his jaw clenched. She's good. Too good. But she's not gone, I said, my mind racing. She's still out there. And if she's as dangerous as she claims, we need to find her before she disappears for good. Ethan, who had been silent until now, spoke up. What about the package? She said it was valuable. What if it's still here? It's possible, Jake said. But we need to be careful. If Victoria left it behind, it's probably booby-trapped or guarded. We can't just leave it, I said. Whatever it is, it's the key to all of this. We need to find it. The police arrived moments later, their flashing lights illuminating the docks. Jake briefed them quickly, explaining the situation without revealing too much. They agreed to search the area, but it was clear they were out of their depth. Victoria Cross wasn't just a criminal, she was a professional. As the police combed the docks, we split up, searching for any sign of the package. It was Mia who found it, hidden inside a rusted shipping container. The container was padlocked, but Jake managed to pick the lock with a set of tools he kept in his car. Inside was a single, unmarked crate. My heart pounded as we pried it open, revealing rows of neatly stacked documents, hard drives, and gold bars. What the? Ethan trailed off, his eyes wide. This is it, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. This is what they were trying to hide. Jake picked up one of the hard drives, turning it over in his hands. If this contains what I think it does, it could bring down not just Lydia and Victoria, but an entire network of criminals. But why gold? Mia asked, her brow furrowed. What's the connection? It's a currency, Jake said. Untraceable, liquid, and universally valuable. They were planning to disappear, and this was their insurance policy. As we stood there, staring at the contents of the crate, a chilling thought occurred to me. If this is just one crate, how many more are out there?
And who else is involved?
Jake's expression was grim. This is bigger than we thought. Much bigger. We need to get this evidence to the authorities, but we also need to be careful. If Victoria finds out we have this, she'll come after us with everything she's got. Then we don't give her the chance, I said, my voice firm. We take this straight to the FBI. No more playing games. It's time to end this. But as we loaded the crate into Jake's car, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were still missing something. Victoria's words echoed in my mind. Lydia was just a pawn in a much larger game. If that was true, then who was really pulling the strings? And what were they planning next? We drove to the FBI field office in silence, the weight of the crate in the trunk pressing on all of us. The streets were quiet, the city asleep, but my mind was racing. Victoria's words kept replaying in my head. This is bigger than you. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were still only scratching the surface. When we arrived, Jake flashed his credentials, and we were quickly ushered inside. Agent Roberts, the same agent who had helped us with Lydia's arrest, met us in the lobby. Her eyes widened when she saw the crate. What do you have here? She asked, her tone sharp but curious. Evidence, Jake said, his voice steady. And a lot of it. We need to move fast. There's a woman named Victoria Cross involved, and she's dangerous. Agent Roberts nodded, already calling for backup. Let's get this into the evidence room. We'll go through it together. The next few hours were a blur. The FBI team worked quickly, cataloging the contents of the crate. The hard drives were handed off to their tech team, while the gold bars were secured in a vault. The documents, however, were the real treasure trove. They detailed a vast network of offshore accounts, shell companies, and illegal transactions spanning multiple countries. This is huge, Agent Roberts said, her voice tinged with both excitement and concern. If what we're seeing here is accurate, This could be one of the largest financial fraud cases we've ever seen. And Victoria Cross, she's a name we've been tracking for years. She's a ghost. No one's ever been able to pin anything on her. Until now, I said, feeling a flicker of hope. But she's still out there. And if she knows we have this, she'll come after you, Agent Roberts finished. Which is why we're going to put you under protective custody until we can bring her in. I shook my head.
No.
I'm not hiding. Not after everything we've been through. I want to help bring her down. Agent Roberts studied me for a moment, then nodded. All right. But you follow our lead. No heroics. Over the next few days, the FBI moved quickly. With the evidence we provided, they were able to freeze multiple offshore accounts linked to Victoria and her network. Arrest warrants were issued, and Interpol was brought in to track her movements internationally. Meanwhile, Jake, Mia, Ethan, and I worked closely with the FBI, providing any additional information we could. It was exhausting, but for the first time in weeks, I felt like we were making real progress. Then, one evening, as we were reviewing documents in the FBI office, Agent Roberts walked in with a satisfied smile. We got her, Victoria? I asked, my heart skipping a beat. Yes, Agent Roberts said. She was trying to board a private jet in Geneva. We intercepted her just in time. She's in custody, and she's not going anywhere. The relief was overwhelming. I sank into a chair, feeling the weight of everything we'd been through finally lifting. It's over, I said, more to myself than anyone else. Not quite, Agent Roberts said. There's still a lot of work to do. But thanks to you, we've got everything we need to dismantle this entire operation. You've done something incredible here. In the weeks that followed, the full scope of Victoria's network began to unravel. Dozens of arrests were made, and millions of dollars were recovered. Lydia, now facing additional charges, tried to cut a deal by providing information on Victoria's associates, but it was too little, too late. She would spend the rest of her life in prison. As for me, I finally felt like I could breathe again. Dad's legacy was no longer tainted by Lydia's greed. Instead, it was a reminder of the strength and determination he'd instilled in me. I knew he would be proud. One evening, as the sun set over the city, we gathered at Dad's favorite spot in Riverside Park. Mia, Jake, Ethan, and I sat on a bench, watching the sky turn shades of orange and pink. We did it, Mia said, breaking the silence. We actually did it. We did, I agreed, feeling a sense of peace I hadn't felt in months. But we couldn't have done it without each other. Jake smiled. Your dad would be proud, Clara. You fought for him, and you won. Ethan, who had been quiet, spoke up. I'm just glad it's over. I don't think I could have handled much more of this. I put an arm around his shoulders. It's over, Ethan. But we're stronger because of it. All of us. As we sat there, watching the sun dip below the horizon, I felt Dad's presence stronger than ever. He had always believed in doing what was right, no matter how hard it was. And now, because of that belief, we had brought down a criminal empire and protected countless others from falling victim to their schemes. But as I looked out at the city, I knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a new chapter, one where we could use what we'd learned to help others, to fight for justice, and to honor Dad's memory in everything we did.